Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for joining the Glow Up Social Girls. I'm so happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to have this interview with you.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I've started this podcast with the intention of creating a sisterhood and a strong community among women, and I just want us to gather and just share our stories, share our up and our downs, and just really build a strong community, which I feel we really lack these days. And I'm just bringing on different guests because I want them to share their journeys and their stories, because I know I get excited when I hear other people's journeys. So I can just imagine the audience behind this podcast that's also going to get excited. And I found you through a Facebook group. And immediately I was like, I have to have her on my podcast because I think your journey is incredible. So we're just going to dive right in. I know you started as a massage therapist, and then you kind of went on this spiritual journey and you kind of merged the two together, which you do today. So let's dive in, and if you can just tell us from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning of this journey.
Okay. Yeah, so I have been a massage therapist since 2007, and I'm now moving more into quantum healing. So, working in the quantum realm and helping people to make the unconscious conscious. So, our behaviors, our thoughts, the narratives that we tell ourselves in our mind, and even our programming from the time we were little to teenagers to young adults, and even even bringing awareness to those old programs as we move forward and grow in life. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm also a channel and I read the Akashic Records. And if you don't know what the Akashic Records are, it is an energetic library, so to speak, of all of your thoughts, experiences, emotions, beliefs, anything that you have ever been through in a past life, in a present incarnation, and also everything in the future as well. So it's really beautiful work that I'm doing right now, just helping the collective, raising the vibration of everyone around me and everyone around the world. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So take me from to the beginning. When did you know you had this special gift, and when did you decide to put it into practice?
So ever since I've been doing massage, I was noticing that information would come up as I would work on individuals, and I didn't really know what was happening. And
Did you
uh,
ever freak out? Because I
no,
think I would have totally like freaked out if I start like hearing things.
well, it's more of when it first started, it was more of a feeling, this just a feeling, and the feeling, would become more and more intense. If I didn't say anything, then the feeling would get more intense. But then the more I would just let out the information, then the feeling would go away. But
Mm.
now, and that still happens now to my present time. If I am hearing or feeling something or having some kind of vision, then it does kind of intensify and until I say something. And then once I say something, then it kind of goes away. But actually, up until recently, I didn't realize that I was channeling. I didn't realize that that's what I was doing until one of my friends, who's a psychic medium, I was telling her this story, and she said, "Yeah, you're channeling." And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not. She's like, yeah, you are. Like, you're channeling information and giving them that information. And so once she told me that, then I started to play a little more with, okay, I'm going to tap into this person's energy and this person, and I'm gonna, then I kind of started to play a little bit
Mhm.
and see where I could go and what will happen. And then since then, everything's just intensified, and it's only been, I would say, well, let me see. It's only been in the last year and a half to 2 years that I even realized that I was channeling, and then things started becoming in a lot stronger, more clear, more of a knowing. But also on my path, I've been doing a lot of my own inner work, my own healing, which has really helped me to get rid of things, get rid of old energy so that this new energy can come in and I have space for that. So,
That's awesome. And is there something that you do to prepare to start channeling, or is that just something that it just depends where you are or who you're talking to? How does it work?
yeah, so I think with massage, because with massage it's, an hour or 90 minutes with one person. Majority of people don't like to talk. So so a lot of it kind of happened while I would massage, because there's so much quiet time, so much stillness, right? And I have to be present for my client. I have to be in the moment and there for them and really paying attention to what it is that they need. And so I think just from massaging people, or from being in that industry for so long and being in quiet time for so long, it was easy for me to listen or to feel or to sense, I would say. It was easy for me to sense. So now what I do is, sometimes I actually get these urges that I have to go in. And when I go in, that's where I get these really incredible messages. Um, but sometimes when I don't have any urges, then I do just kind of sit. All we really need are 10-15 minutes a day in meditation, or in stillness, to really just calm our nervous system, calm our mind, and prepare ourselves to be open, to be open to what the
Right.
universe has for us, but also to be open to, um, living a life of ease, and then also being open to receiving the messages or hearing them. So I know it was kind of a long answer, but that's kind of what I do. Is I just take 10 or 15 minutes to center and ground myself, and then ask questions. So sometimes when I'm getting ready for the day, it looks like I'm talking to myself because I'm asking a question and then I'm getting an answer, you know? And then,
Yeah.
or I'm asking a question and there's a silence, and then there's like oh, like this moment of realization, or of getting an understanding of what, I'm being shown, which is really interesting. So, um, I
Yeah,
know,
that's amazing.
yeah.
Do you feel like you have a big responsibility
Ooh, as far as
delivering the message? Because that, when I think about that, you're almost like a vessel and you're delivering a message. So do you feel like you have such a big responsibility to, channel in and deliver these messages that are coming through?
not necessarily a big responsibility. I think more so of just wanting to work with so many people so that I can share this information, so that I can give them answers that they have to their questions, or bring awareness to what is holding them back from moving forward, or what is holding them back from sleeping, or just what is holding them back from having or living their fulfilled life. So not really a responsibility, just more so of a wanting to share the information that is coming, wanting to be there for them, and wanting to help them on their path. um, but sometimes if I don't get all of the information out, then they leave, then I'm like, oh, did I tell them everything? Oh, maybe I should text them and tell them, oh, but then this, and then this, and
Yeah.
so but sometimes there is information that comes in that that would be the difficult part. There is information sometimes that comes in that I'm not supposed to share, but
Mm.
that I'm just supposed to know. And so that's hard. You know?
Yeah. How do you tell the difference? Because that must be hard.
Yeah, so the feeling is different, the way that it feels. I
Hmm.
don't really know how to describe it. It's kind of like oh, that's what it is. It's more of a boundary, more of like, we're going to give you this information, but that's it. Like, it's you can't, we don't want you to share it right now, but we're going to give it to you. So it's just this feeling of someone putting up a boundary, and you can feel it, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll respect that. Versus when there's just flowing information, then it's just flowing, and there isn't a sensation of restriction, or not restriction, but there isn't a sensation of um, it's just more free flowing when that information comes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah. And you have to be a very grounded person, to be channeling and doing what you're doing. So, is there ever a time where you're going through it, right? Because we're all humans, where you've had your own difficulties in your life, and then you're battling because you want to stay grounded. So, how does that work when you're going through your own issues in life?
Yeah, so I have a couple of really, really great friends. They're spiritual as well. And it's so funny because, with old relationships, and you're having an issue, you're having a problem, your friends kind of tend to like feed into and kind of have your back and say this and that. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right, but they kind of feed into what it is that you are upset about or complaining about. But then
Hmm.
your spiritual friends are saying more things like, well, what's it mirroring back to you? You know,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
it mirroring back to you? Or what is that showing you that you're feeling that you're lacking? Or the questions are more for growth. And so when I'm having a hard time, I I have to, I'm not have to, I have the opportunity to do some self reflection and really figure out what it is that I am feeling and why. And
Hmm.
so my friends that I have helped me kind of figure that out, of course, along with myself. Sometimes, sometimes we just, don't want to do the work of the self reflection and we just want to, yeah, do the human thing of like not having to deal with it and push it aside.
Right.
um, I'll do that for a little short period of time, and then I'm like, okay, Ina, it's time. You gotta take some accountability here and just really see um, what the real issue is. So I
Yeah.
don't.
I
Yeah.
need more spiritual friends. I'm going through my own, like I told you, my own healing journey. And this year, I said it was going to be my year to do a lot of internal healing from my past trauma when I was a child. So yeah, I need a few more spiritual friends that, check in on me and kind of get to the root of things versus other friends, which there's nothing wrong. Like you say, they kind of just feed in and complain with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, right. It's just that's what we yeah, that's what we're used to. It's like, oh, I just want someone to take my side, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But really the fun part, I mean, sometimes not so fun, but the fun part is realizing, you know, realizing that we have the power to shift our mood or shift our mind, or we also have the power to change our perception and change our view, but then also see
Yeah.
how our reaction is as an adult, how that relates to what we, who we were as kids. For example, and this is so funny you're asking this. This morning, my fiance and I got in a fight this morning, and he left, and I was sitting outside, and I'm like, man, what am I feeling? I'm like, oh, it's the little girl that's like, don't you see all the things that I'm doing? And, it was more about appreciation. I wasn't feeling appreciated.
Hmm.
And as I'm sitting outside, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, it's that little girl that would do all of these things for the family and help out and be the good kid, and, on all that. And I didn't, I, never received any kind of like praise or appreciation, or not that I'm looking for praise, but I realized it was like just the little girl in me that just wanted to be seen, and,
Right.
um, and then it was the little girl in me who, like the wounded little girl in me, who couldn't figure out what she was feeling and express her feelings, in a healthy way. And so I kind of realized that this morning, that yeah, we're all, one of my friends said, we're all just toddlers but grown up. you
Mm, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, we're all just toddlers, like grown up. And so,
Grown toddlers. Yeah, that's like, I'm going to use that one now.
yeah.
Yeah, but how beautiful it is that you know how to identify these things. You kind of know how to pause and how to how to take a step back and identify these things in yourself, which I think is amazing, right? You don't just go off on a tangent, right? You know how to stop and identify it, and that's powerful. That's something that I'm sure takes a lot, and not everyone is capable of that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely, I think what really, on my journey, I think what really opened me up was, I did um, this worksheet, and it has your values, right? It asks you what your values are, and it has all of these different words, and then you choose all these words, and then you kind of like through these stages of having like 10 words to 5 words to 3 words to 1 word, and then you have your like main moral. And I think one of the things that helped me, I guess, that blew my mind open or that helped me kind of put maybe my ego in check, was my morals, my values didn't line up with how I was treating my partner and how
Mm,
I was treating some people around me. They didn't line up. And then I was like, oh, I'm like, oh, well, if these are my values, then I'm not treating, him with the same value, they don't match. And so that kind of opened me up as well. along with other things, like doing hypnosis. That really helped to really bring a lot of awareness in of like my own programming, and also just realizing what my childhood kind of programmed in me. I think I had mentioned it, like, my mom had left our family when I was really young.
Yeah.
um, and so, well, first I was left in the Philippines, because they wanted me to go to school there. And then I guess I was like crying unconsolably for like a week. So then they had to come back and get me. And then I came back. But then again, when I was 12, then my mom left our family. So it was kind of, abandoned twice. So I had
Yeah,
these,
that's very traumatic.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so in my adult life, it translates to, if I let my significant other in, if I let him in fully, then he's going to leave,
Mm,
because my mom left, and it's your mom, it's your parent, you
right.
don't expect them to leave. So then I wasn't fully receiving him, or fully receiving his love, or even feeling it. I know that he loves me, but I didn't feel it. And then I got hypnosis done. And then I was like, oh, he was looking at me one day, and I'm like, why are you looking at me like that? And I'm like, oh, maybe he looks at me like this all the time, but I just don't even realize it, because I was kind of like
Mm,
keeping him at a, I would keep him close, but not let him in.
right.
And now I can be a lot more vulnerable. It's a little difficult sometimes, um, because I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I'm feeling. And then once I figure that out, then I can be vulnerable. Um,
Yeah, that's so interesting how our trauma from our childhood can kind of affect our relationship as adults. I have So when and I think I told you this, my relationship with my parents is a bit rocky just because of certain situation that happened, between us. So I really don't have a full relationship with them. I can call them anytime and they can call me, but the relationship of a mom and daughter, mom and dad is not fully there. So when I see my husband and he has a strong relationship with his mother, I have a hard time. Like I don't mind, but I don't comprehend it. And when I try to comprehend their relationship, it just I don't even know, like I can't find the words to explain it. I don't understand it. I'm like, how are you guys like so close? Like that bond that they have, I just don't fully understand. And it's funny because I have kids of my own and I have a very strong relationship with all of them, even my bonus kids, my step kids. So my husband's always like, well, you like, look at you. You have a relationship with our kids. It's the same way. And I'm like, no, that's different. Like to me, that's different. I don't know. It's just like very weird. Like it's just something that I don't think I would ever fully understand because I never had that strong relationship with my parents.
yeah. Well, it's different because you're the mom. You're the mom with the kid. That's why and
Right.
then, but he's the kid with the mom.
Yeah.
That's why it's different, because he's the kid with the mom. You're the mom with the kid. I don't know if that makes sense. You
No,
know,
yeah, it's just hard. Like I understand you, but I'm like, I hope everyone else can understand. And it's funny because it's almost like I want to tell her, my mother-in-law, like, why do you have such a strong relationship with my husband? I don't mind. It's just to me, my norm is not having a strong relationship with my parents. So when I see it with her, I'm like, it's almost like, how are you able to do that? Like, it's so foreign to me. I don't know. It's just like something so weird.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's like the same thing where like the mom and daughter are like best friends, and it's, you
Yeah,
know,
that's another one that I don't comprehend. I'm like, how? I have a few friends that have that very strong relationship with their mom, and they can pick up their phone and just tell them anything at
mhm.
any given moment.
Yeah.
Versus me, I'm like, I can never do that. Like, my mom will pick up my call, of course, but there's certain things that I limit in saying to her, because I'm like, I don't want to be judged, and I just know her reaction. So it's just very interesting how our trauma, or maybe not trauma, but just the way we were raised, kind of like reflects in us as adults.
Yeah.
And I like love my mom. I don't want no one coming after me thinking I'm like bad mouthing her or anything. It's just we never got to build that relationship, when I was
Mhm.
younger.
Yeah, I mean, so they say that when our souls decide to incarnate here on earth, we pick everything. We pick our parents, we pick our siblings, we pick the difficulty, the level of difficulty. We kind of pick everything, and and our challenges and whatnot. So that we can, our soul can evolve, and it can grow, and it can have this human experience. It can come in and experience what it feels like to be a human, because our souls live in this infinite world, in this infinite realm filled with infinite love, unconditional, pure, bright light love. And so, when you come to earth to have these experiences as a human, uh, then that helps our soul evolve, because our soul is just in love all the time. you know
Right.
so what better way, like how else are you going to learn other things like compassion and, um I don't know, honor and, you know love, unconditional love, and, like worthiness, and, all of those things.
Right. I heard that today. I was listening to another podcast, and I'll share it with you after. And I heard the host of the podcast say that you come here and you choose your mom, your dad, and I'm like, so I chose my mom and my dad. So I'm like, is there a lesson to be learned? Like, is there a reason why I specifically chose that mom and that dad? Is it because there's a lesson for me to be learned? How does that work?
So, not a lesson for you to learn, but more so, let me see, how can I answer this question? So, when I reflect on my childhood and everything that I've been through, um, I have learned that, let me see, what am I trying to say here? All the things I have been through that I have to overcome, like my abandonment issues, and also expressing myself and being vulnerable, and, um, and being seen. All of these things, these are like my superpowers. These are my superpowers. So once I overcome them, not overcome them, but once we'll just say overcome, but once I overcome them and I realize my greatness and where my power lies, um, then I realize, oh, my parents they were the ones that provided that for me. Like, for example, my friend said this to me one day, because I have a toxic, I had a really toxic, emotionally abusive relationship before. And my friend said to me, his soul loves your soul so much that he's willing to be the villain so that you can grow, so that you can flourish and you can blossom. Because everything in that relationship, when we were together, he was a reflection of how I felt about myself. I didn't have any self worth, self love, self respect, worthiness. I didn't have any of that. And he was a reflection of that for me, and he showed me how I felt about myself. Then once I came out of that toxic relationship, then I can, begin to heal from that relationship, but then also everything from my past and my childhood as well, because I still felt those same things when I was growing up. Um,
Right.
I don't know if that answers the question. Now I can't remember what the question was.
You had said that we come here and we choose our parents. So I was just, and I heard that in another podcast. So I was like, wait a minute. Like I chose my mom, my dad, and I just wanted to know, is it so we can learn a lesson?
Right.
So that was the question.
So if you think about how you are in your day, how you move through life, the things you teach your children, the things you don't want to take from your parents, or even like your ability to, I would say, what, maybe read the room, or your ability to already have maybe a sense on someone.
Hmm.
Those skills come from your parents. You know, if you think about um, just kind of how you are about some things, um, those come from our parents. So it's not that it's always lessons, it's more so of how how growing up with them developed certain skills within us, because at some point we had to survive, right?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
what happens when we get older is we don't need to be in survival mode, and we don't have to survive, but we still have these skills, and those skills we can still use them in the future, use them in our daily lives. Um, does that make sense a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's kind of like the the abandonment feeling. Once I overcome that, then how much of in my power I will be in my own self-love, and how, and then I would be able to emanate that self-love outwardly and know how to love others, know how to the more I love myself, then the more I love others.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And I must ask, have you ever had a bad experience with anyone as you're channeling when you have to like deliver a message? Have you ever had like a just a bad experience?
Um, I haven't had a bad experience. Let me see.
Because
I
that
have.
would probably be my biggest fear. Like someone just freak out that I'm, delivering this message or, I'm channeling and I'm like, okay, I have the urge and I have to tell them XYZ. And I go up to this person and either they completely freak out or they think I'm like a complete like psycho.
So when in the beginning, when I was in the beginning of my massage career, I would share information, and a lot of people then they would just kind of look at me and say, huh, interesting, And so I'd be like, oh, why did I say that? Why did I, like it'd be like doubt. And then I just thought I was weird. And I'm like, what made me think that I could tell them that? Um, but as I've, I just kept going with it. I just kept going with it because I realized that, some people want to hear it and some people don't want to hear it. So it's kind of like when you're telling someone, like if you told a girlfriend, like, oh, your dude's cheating on you, like I just saw him with another girl, they wouldn't hear it, they'd be like, oh,
Right.
you're just jealous, or right,
Mhm.
or they don't hear it. And so some people want to hear it and some people don't. And that's kind of what I've learned throughout the years, is that, whenever they're ready, but I can still share the information, because at some point they're going to be ready to hear. And then they're going to be like, oh, I remember that one time that girl said this, and that. And wow, she was actually right. Or, because in the end, it's just more about me delivering information uh, versus me, well, in the end, it's just me delivering information. And then it's up to
Right.
them, you know, um, what they want to do with it afterwards. But I mean, other than that, I would say sometimes, I would say sometimes, um, you know like with readings, the conversation, the readings are much easier when there are conversations, going back and forth, because then as the individual talks about their life and has their questions, then certain things kind of start to pop up and stand out. And
Hmm.
so that makes it easier to gather more information. For example, like using the Akashic Records or reading the Akashic Records, and that's what makes it a little bit easier for me. And so sometimes if someone is just asking a question and having this expectation that you're going to just give them, all of this information, but yet there really isn't this flow of conversation, then it makes it difficult,
Right.
to
Yeah.
gather information. Yeah.
And when someone goes to your, to your shop to get a service from you, like a massage, does that person know that they're also getting a reading? Like how does it, or do you have different services?
So, so the So, kind of how my website is set up, it does give this air of spiritual kind of healing in it. And
Hmm.
so, I think when majority of people book, they kind of, it's designed that way. So I'm just attracting the right kind of people, so that when I
Okay.
am working on them and the information comes out, it's not a super shock. But
Right.
depending on the individual, what I like to do is I like to talk with them afterwards and connect. And then I kind of start asking questions that pertain to the information that I'm sensing. And then once they start to feel comfortable, then I kind of tell them, well, these are the things that were coming up as I was working on you. And then it kind of goes from there. And that's also one way that I like to use to connect with them and like build the relationship and build the trust, is I spend a lot of time talking after a massage session, which people like a lot. And then, we all like to hear about ourselves. And so it is also
Right.
really
Yeah.
nice for, yeah, someone to sit there and really get more than just a massage. They're coming in, their body is feeling great, and then they're getting extra information on, you know, this is what you can let go of, this is what's holding you back, or, you know, um, they just get more than what they came for, which is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And how supportive is your family, like your husband or just your family overall, to the work that you're doing?
Yeah, they're very supportive. So we're a blended family also. We have my fiance has two kids, 18 and 13, and then I have a 10-year-old, and then we have a 3-year-old who closes a circle. And my stepson, for my birthday, he got me a an oracle card deck. Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, and I mean, I have a pretty good collection. And he said there were all kinds of different ones. He said, I thought you would like this one because it has some really beautiful artwork and it was a lot different from all your other decks. And I was like, oh, thanks, and then my stepdaughter and I, whenever we have like one-on-one time, I'll kind of help her with her intuition and we'll kind of play with her crystals. And she has like an astrology oracle deck. And so we'll kind of just hang out with those cards and just look at them um, and just kind of do some stuff like that. So
That's
they're,
aw so you're like the cool mom, the cool stepmom.
so
That's
yeah,
awesome.
well, to adults, to to us adults, yes, but they think I'm the biggest nerd. Because I even told them, I'm like, you guys know that I'm like the cool, I'm like, my friends think I'm cool. And, they're like, Ina, if you have to like prove that you're cool, I'm like, okay, whatever. But
Oh, they have no idea. I'm sure as they get older. Can you imagine like having a mom that has that ability, like that spiritual side? I wish.
yeah.
That's amazing. They don't know it yet, but they will as they get older.
Yes, yeah. Well, and it's really fun because, like my stepdaughter, she'll be like, "Can we read my Akashic records tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. You got some questions about some friendships or something in school, or." And she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we can do that." So
So that's interesting. So can you read it more than once?
yeah, you can
Your
read.
record? Yeah. So
Yeah.
every time you read it, how does it work? If you can maybe dive in a little, because I think I told you when we first spoke, I actually want to do that with you. I thought for some reason you read it once and then that's it.
No, you can, it's your record. You can read it as many times as you want, as often as you want. It's your record, it's your information. So what I do, like if we were to do a session together, I would open up with a prayer, and then that prayer kind of helps me to tap in or to tune into the energy, and then we kind of go from there. Then you would ask questions like open-ended questions, anything that's just going to get the conversation flowing,
Hmm.
is kind of what we would do. And yeah, you can have them, you can ask basically about anything, even I lost my keys the other day. Where did I lose them? Where did they go?
I
Even
actually did lose my keys the other day. That's so funny that you say that. I lost my car keys. I blame it on my husband. He was the last one to use my car.
yeah. Did you find them?
I did not. I'm using my spare key.
Oh my gosh, I had to do that. I had to use I lost my keys. This was a couple years ago, and I had to use a valet key. This
Yes.
until yeah, but let me see what else. So yeah, you can, as many times as you want. So which actually yesterday I wanted to, but like I'll go into my record and I'll just ask for guidance. I'll ask for guidance on what kind of content do I need to put out today? Or I always like to ask myself or my soul, like, what do I need to do today for my personal life? And what do I need to do today for my business life or for my business? And a lot of the times when I say, what do I need to do at home? That it's not like, well, you need to go to the grocery store and you need to clean and you
Right.
got to mop. Really, what they say is just relax and enjoy your family. And I'm like, oh, but I shouldn't mop the floors or like pick up
I
the
have a whole to-do
dog,
list.
right? Like it's never this whole. It's always like it's just relax and spend time with your family. And then I'm like, oh, that's it? You know?
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining. This is amazing. I think the work that you're doing here on earth is amazing. I always admire people like you because I feel it's such a big responsibility. Like I told you, I know maybe you don't see it like that, but from my point of view, I think if I had that gift, I don't know. I think that's such a big responsibility to carry, and I think you're doing it so well. So I'm glad that you're in this industry and you're sharing your gift.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for having me on your podcast. And I really enjoy talking with you. And I think it's just so, synchronistic and, just kind of, creating this community and this like sisterhood. And I just love being a part of that. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. I have one more question that I'm sure the listeners will love to hear from you. So, our last question, if someone is going through their own spiritual and healing journey, what advice would you give them?
My advice would be to just go with it. Just go with it. If you're feeling happy, great, be happy. But if you're feeling angry, or there's this term like sacred rage, if you're just feeling that, just feel it. Just don't push it away. Don't, you don't have, there's nothing wrong with you. Just whatever it is you're feeling, we're just supposed to feel it. And it doesn't mean anything about us. It's just something we're supposed to feel. So, and that and have fun, like, have fun going through this process, because sometimes it's not fun, but all you can do is laugh at just how much we are in our own way.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Is there any books that you recommend for those who are, readers? Any books that you recommend for anyone going through their healing journey or spiritual journey?
Mm, so no, I don't have any books, because I haven't. The only books I've read are Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis books. They're her sessions, um, and there actually one of her books that kind of helped me open my eyes, and it is I believe it's like the wave of first wave of volunteers, or something like that. And it talks about all of the incarnated souls that came here on earth to help raise the vibration during this time, like in our real time right now. And it talks about that. So that was kind of helpful on my journey to kind of help me realize what I'm here to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, we can get the full name and I can include it in the show notes for everyone.
Uh,
And then your socials, where can everyone find you? Your website. You do sessions through Zoom.
I
So if
do.
anyone wants to book with you, so shout them out if anyone wants to find you.
Yeah, so if you want to book a session, or just check out my website, it is Loveland Massage and Aesthetic.com. And I am switching over to Ina-June.com here pretty soon, so that'll happen eventually. And then if you just want some little videos on some 1 minute, I would say, affirmations or meditations, I'm on TikTok at the Intuitive Channel, and then I also have a Facebook, is what I'm mostly on, I guess, because I'm older. And then you can just find me by my name, Ina-June Boquiren, and then I'm on Facebook. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll include everything in the show notes. And once again, thank you so much for joining. We had such a beautiful conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah, of course. Bye.
Bye.